name is Nirja, but I am going to be into one of our great travelers who's from Canada. And we will be talking about a few destinations in Indonesia. And the series is largely focused on giving our viewers and readers ideas about how to plan their trip, what they can expect from their trip in Indonesia. And we hope to help you guys plan a trip of a lifetime. So let's begin. Hi, Carole-Ann.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to our Travel Talk series. It's wonderful meeting you again.
Yes, nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you officially. Okay, if you could just introduce yourself, where you are from, what you do for a living, that would be great.
Yes, perfect. So my name is Caroline. I'm 25 years old. I live in Canada, more specifically in Quebec, which is the small French part of Canada. And I do have a travel agency company. I'm the founder of that agency. And we are doing tailor-made itineraries for our clients. So I created the agency 1 year ago, and now I'm doing that full time while I was finishing a bachelor degree in university, and that I now have. I finished it in last May. So I also have a bachelor degree in communication and marketing.
That's great. It must be wonderful, getting to travel and just being in the traveling field full time.
Yes, it's really a blessing. I'm really grateful to have the chance to work from everywhere also.
Right. So you must have traveled to a lot of different places.
Yes, exactly. Since I was a little kid, my parents traveled with me, and now I haven't stopped traveling since, and I travel at least twice or 3 times by year.
Wow, kind of envy you right now.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'd like to ask that. So you must be traveling extensively, right? I mean, since twice a year.
Yes, I actually do travel sometimes for
Okay,
1 month or 2 months, and then I come back to Canada to see my friends and family and work from home without distractions. Because when you're traveling, you always want to do some activities, and it's hard to go in a cafe, sit down, and work all day. So I come back here to catch up on work, and then I can go back to traveling.
that sounds like an ideal lifestyle.
Well, yes, I really like it.
So do you travel alone or with friends, family, with other people?
I normally do travel alone or with my partner, which has a lot of vacations day, so he can come with me. So normally I travel in a duo with someone else, but I do all the planning, and the other person normally just bring his bags and follows along.
So you're more of a planned traveler rather than spontaneous.
Exactly. I like to know where I will sleep and what are the activities that I can do. But I don't have settled dates of this day I will do that, except when I need to book an activity specifically. But I like to know where I will sleep and what there's to do so I don't miss out on anything.
That's great. So what kind of destinations do you prefer? Like, do you prefer beaches, mountains,
It's
or anything
really
in
hard.
between?
Yeah, it's really hard to choose. I don't really like big cities. It's always nice to visit big cities and museum and cultural destination, but I really prefer more of a beach town or a mountain destination. But I really can choose between mountains and beaches. So I like destinations that have both of them in the same country.
Yeah, that's wise. You get best of
Yeah,
both the worlds.
exactly.
Okay, so when did you exactly travel to Indonesia? Like what year?
I tra- yeah, this year I traveled to Indonesia during the month of May and June.
Okay, and why did you choose Indonesia?
I wanted a destination that was not that expensive for me to live there for 2 months, and also a destination that had everything that I want to do in the travel. So I like beaches, I like mountains, I like jungles, I like to surf, I like to hike mountains, to see volcanoes, and there's everything in Indonesia. So that was the perfect destination for me.
Great. Can you tell us about, like, just in brief about how your experience was? and then we'll get more into details.
Yeah, the experience was just amazing. The people there and the culture is completely different of what I see here in Canada. So I was come out of my comfort zone, but everyone was so sweet. I didn't see a lot of scams or scammers. Everyone was just completely happy to live and welcoming to tourists as well. I felt really safe and I felt that people wanted me to see their country and to experience the culture. And I felt like I was a part of the community as soon as I landed in
I'm glad.
Indonesia. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you had that kind of experience. I think people, they're a very important part of a location. So I'm sure our readers would love to know that Indonesia is very welcoming.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. For tourists as well, there everyone is so sweet.
Okay. And how was the season there? Like, was it too hot? Was it? I don't think it will be too cold, but it might be too hot.
Yeah, being from Canada, for me it was hot, but it was the beginning of dry season. So it was basically between 25 or 35 degrees, but it's really the humidity that is making it a little bit hotter because there's a lot of humidity in the jungle. But every day it was really sunny, not that windy, and it was just the perfect weather for me. Being from Canada, this is what I wanted to have when I went to Indonesia. And it was not rainy season, so I didn't see any rain at all during 2 months.
Okay, great. But do you think, rainy season could add more charm to the location?
I think that it may be a little bit more complicated to travel during rainy season because first there's a lot of mosquitoes that comes out when it rains. And also the main transportation that we used was a scooter. And when it rains a lot in a scooter, it is not always the best because it can hold you
Right.
from going to further destinations.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. And how long did you stay there? Like, how long was your trip?
My trip was 6 weeks in total in Indonesia.
Wow. Must have covered a lot of ground in 6 weeks.
Yeah, there's so much highlands in Indonesia, so I will have to come back anyway to visit more. But in 6 weeks, I had the chance to do Bali, Nusa Penida, Flores Island, and Komodo Islands.
Okay, great. So, how did you plan your itinerary for this day? Like, what were the highlights you wanted to see?
First, I planned the itinerary regarding surf because I really love to surf. So I planned it around the surf spot at the beginning, and then I planned the for the first part, and then the second part of my travel, I planned it for the Komodo Island cruise. So everything was planned around that, and so I booked a flight to Flores Island, and I planned the itinerary to visit Flores and then do the Komodo cruise. So everything was around surf and the Komodo Island cruise.
Right. And you traveled to three different places, right? Komodo Island, Flores, and Nusa Penida. So, how were they different from each other? What was their general vibe?
Firstly, Nusa Penida is a really touristy island. There's not a lot of service. It's a one-day touristic island, so there's a lot of people coming from Bali just for one day. So it's pretty much in the middle of nowhere. It's really nice because there's not a lot of shops, restaurants. It's really more for beaches, cliffs, and landscape. And when you go to Flores, this is a main island. So there's a lot of service, there's a beautiful city, there's a lot of people living their life. It's really easy to have transportation as well. So it was a little bit different. Also, Flores is a Muslim island, so you can hear the mosque a lot of the time and during the day you can hear the songs.
Right.
It's a really different ambient. There's less tourists because a lot of people go to Bali and people forget that there's other islands in Indonesia. So Flores is really for more adventurous tourists.
Right. Right. So, a
I
lot
just
of different vibes. All three places has really different vibes, and each of them you'd want to experience, right?
exactly.
Okay, so now we'll get more into detail about your total trip. If you could tell me what you did on each of the days, or just maybe each of the weeks, that would be great.
Yes, perfect. So for the first 3 weeks, I was in Bali surfing pretty much. I did the Canggu, Uluwatu, and Kuta, and then I went to Ubud to experience a lot of jungle activities and to see the rice fields as well. And then I went to for a week, and we explored a lot of beaches, cliffs. We saw a lot of hidden gems also in Nusa Penida because we had our own scooter, so we could travel around the highlands we escaping the crowds of the big touristic bus. So it was really nice to see more of a cultural experience. And we visited a lot of traditional village in Nusa Penida. There's a lot of people living traditionally there. So it was pretty nice. And then we went to Flores. It's a 1 hour flight from Bali. And we discovered the island of Flores for 4 days. So we went to Sylvia Hill and Rainbow Cave, which is a blue turquoise cave. Um, in the island, it's really beautiful. And then we went to Melo Village, which is a traditional village, a whole different culture that we see in Bali. And also we went to Jungkawulan waterfall. So we really explored the island with our private driver. And then we went for the last week, to a cruise in Komodo Islands. So we were on a sailboat for 3 days and we were living aboard and we discovered all the little islands that you cannot see when you are staying in Flores because they're only accessible by boat. So we discovered a lot of different islands. We did a lot of snorkeling. We saw Komodo Village, Komodo dragons. So it was a really unique experience and there it was really magical.
Right. I've always wanted to see Komodo dragon because I mean they look so unique and they have such unique features. I bet it
Exactly.
must have been a unique experience.
Yeah, this is one of the only places in the world that where you can see actual Komodo dragons. So it's really special to see them in real life and see them from really close. They were maybe at meters away, so it was really special.
And did you see them in the national park or a zoo or something?
It was not in a zoo. They are free to live everywhere. So it's in Komodo National Park, and there is almost 2,000 Komodo dragons there. They're living their life, and you're not guaranteed to see them because it's a national park. So you just walk with a ranger, and if you're lucky, you can see them. And I saw four of them, so we were really lucky.
Yeah, that does sound lucky. Any unique other places in any of these islands? Because I know that there is Pink Beach on Komodo Island as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. As you can see behind me, the background is a picture that I took with my drone at Big Beach, which is, I don't know, I didn't even know that it was a real place on Earth where the sand is really light pink because of the red corals. So it's a completely beautiful. Uh, Nobody lives there. So it's a complete natural raw beach with deers, mountains. There's only tourists coming for the day, but nobody lives there. So it's really magical. It's a unique thing that I've seen this on Instagram and I thought that it was fake, but the pink sand is really real.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, like I've watched some of the videos on Instagram as well. It looks something like out of a fairy tale.
Exactly. It looks fake, but it's really, when you're far away, it doesn't look as big because it's a really light pink. It's not a fuchsia. But when you come closer to the island, you can see it. And with the sun, it's just bright. It's a pink writing everywhere. It's really beautiful.
Right. How many beaches could you cover in Nusa Penida? I mean, just combined, how many beaches did you cover?
In Nusa Penida, we saw three beaches in Nusa Penida because one thing that you have to know is that it takes a lot of time to drive from a places to another, especially in scooter. The roads are really difficult. They're really sketchy as well. There's big holes in the middle of the road. It's uphill, downhill, then it turns right to left. So it takes a lot of time to travel from a beach to another one. So we did Atu Beach, and then we did Diamond Beach, Killing King Beach, and Crystal Bay Beach. So we did four beaches in total.
Great. When I was researching Nusa Penida, I came across this beach called Kelingking Beach, and I really loved that because it's supposed to look like T-Rex, right? T-Rex dinosaur. So
Yeah.
did you think the same? Like, did you see the shape of the dinosaur?
Yeah, we went to this beach, which is a really, really touristy and popular beach. This is one of the first picture that you see when you write Nusa Penida on Google.
Right.
But it was really crowded, but absolutely beautiful. And the only thing is that the way to go downstairs and to go to the beach is really it is really dangerous. You have to wear good shoes and you have to be really careful because there's no stairs. So you have to hike down, but it's really dangerous. And I heard that they are actually building an escalator this year to go down the beach, so I don't know how it will look in 1 year, but for the moment, it was just a really natural and beautiful hidden, I would say hidden gem, but it's not really a hidden gem. But when you go down, there's not a lot of people with good shoes enough to go there. So there's not a lot of people at the beach. So it really felt like a hidden gem when you're actually on the beach downstairs.
Yeah, it's one of the things I want to do if I ever get a chance to go to Indonesia because I really love dinosaurs, and what's better than seeing a dinosaur?
It's amazing.
Right. Any of the spots that you had actually planned to visit but you couldn't visit because of any other reason, but you feel like you should have gone there?
Yeah, in Nusa Penida, more specifically, I would have loved to visit 3 Pound House, which is maybe you have seen it on Google. This is a little wood house in the trees with a stairs like that. And people are going there to take pictures. It's really beautiful. You see the cliffs in the background, the blue turquoise water. But it was really far away from our hotel in Scooter. So it was a little bit complicated to go there. And also I wanted to see cave, which is like a temple in a cave. The name I think it's Goa. And because I was actually in my period, I couldn't visit this temple
Uh,
because you cannot visit temple when
right,
you're on
right.
it. Exactly.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Maybe next time.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you have to respect their culture. So it's really important to respect their rules. And even if you really want to see a spot, you have to respect the fact that you cannot do that.
Right. Let's move on to another subject, and that's food. So tell me all about, what the food was like in Indonesia as a whole.
The food was really amazing. They really use fresh spices, fresh flowers, fresh herbs, fruits, vegetables, and it was completely amazing. The traditional food is nasi goreng, which is fried rice with chicken satay that tastes like peanuts. So you have a peanut sauce, you have vegetables. It's really beautiful. It's really yummy. It's colorful. So it's a beautiful plate to see. And you also can eat a lot of chicken curry, a lot of tofu, tempeh as well. So there's a lot of vegetable option and vegan option as well. The only thing is that you have to be careful when you're from Canada like me and you're not used to some bacteria. I got sick the first day because I think that I ate some raw vegetables that were washed with tap water. So you just have to be careful to what you eat and to make sure that the ice cubes, for example, are made with filtered water. But overall, there's a lot of diversity and there's a lot of Western food as well, like burgers, pastas. But the traditional food is the must do and it's really delicious, beautiful, colorful. I really recommend it over eating a burger or pastas.
Okay. And about Flores, any memorable activity you did there?
Yeah, first Rainbow Cave was absolutely amazing. You have to take a little boat from Flores, and there you go to a really little island in the middle of the sea. And then you walk into the island and you see this cave, which is completely huge when you enter it. And there's blue turquoise water. I don't know how it's possible. I don't know the science behind that, but it's just so beautiful. It's a really unique experience because you can swim in the cave and you hear all the small birds, all the flying foxes that lives in the cave. It's really unique. And also Belo Village, something that I really recommend if you want to experience a traditional culture of the indigenous people of Indonesia. So you can see a traditional dance, traditional games. They offer you coffee, they offer you tea, and they dress you up with their traditional clothing. So it's really nice, and people are so happy to show you their culture. And it's not that touristy. We were only four people in the village when we visited, so it's a must do.
Great. Yeah, it sounds like a lovely place, especially if you want to explore more of the local culture.
Exactly. If you're really interested, yeah, if you have an interest of learning different language, culture, dances, it's a really good activity to do.
Okay. Circling back to food, because is there any memorable food you had on each of the island? Any traditional food that you'd recommend?
Yeah, I really recommend nasi goreng and nasi campur. So
Okay.
these are the two traditional meals. And for the starters, I really recommend the corn fritters, which is basically a chip of corn, but with some balalek, it's really delicious. And then for dessert, you have to try the padang crepes, which is a little crepes made with panang leaf. So the crepe is green and it's made with, into it, there's coconut and sugar cane. It's really, really, really yummy.
Yeah, it sounds yummy as well. Maybe it's because dinner time for me right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And any restaurant that you can think of, any restaurant, any of the places that you'd recommend?
Yeah, I do recommend in Flores the Siesta restaurant, which is located in a hostel, and they have a really huge range of variety. So you can eat traditional food if you want, but you can also eat Western food if you want, or if you have been sick, and you want to eat something that reminds you of home. They have everything in the same restaurant, and everything is so fresh. There's a lot of people there, so you know that the food is running in the kitchen. There's no food standing there. They have a lot of rotation. Everything is really beautiful, fresh, and safe to eat.
Great. Food also reminds me of water. Like, is the water, safe to drink, or do you have to carry a bottle around with you?
The tap water is not safe to drink. You always have to buy water from the shop. So every day we bought 2 liters of water, and then we had to brush our teeth with the bottled water as well. And it was really important to also be careful when you take your shower because if you get water in your mouth, you can be sick as well. The water is really, really bad and there's not a good filter system. So you have to be careful and only consume water in a plastic bottle.
Okay, great. Now we'll come back to, where you stayed, your accommodation. So I assume you lived in a hotel.
Yeah, in Flores, we booked the most beautiful hotel of my life. It was called Selini Hills, which is located on a hill. And the concept of the hotel is just little tree houses. So you live in your own tree houses, and there's different houses all of the hill. So you have to walk a lot of stairs to go to your accommodation. But then you have a beautiful view of the city of Labuan which is the most popular city in Flores, and also the city that you have to go to cruise to Komodo Island. So it's the entered city, and you have a beautiful view from your balcony of all the city, the sea, the boats, the mountains. And it was just amazing because in your little tree house, you have your own shower, your own toilets, you have a beautiful bed, you have a little like a little place to you have a huge balcony and a little living room as well, so with a couch. So it was really amazing to experience that. It's a really unique accommodation. I really recommend.
Right. That sounds like a children's dream come true. Also wanted to ask that was that accommodation kid friendly?
Kid friendly, yes, of course. But you have to know that there's a lot of stairs to get to your accommodation. So maybe if you have a young kid that doesn't know how to walk, or if you're scared of them walking into the stairs, maybe that's not the best place for that. But overall, there's a lot of place for everyone. And I know that there's a lot of accommodation with 2 or 3 beds and also a little kitchen, so you can easily go with your family.
Right. And does it offer any other add-ons? Like, since it's Indonesia, massage would be very popular.
Yeah, this is one of the best accommodation of all the islands life.
Great. What about the other places that you lived in and that you stayed in, sorry?
In Nusa Penida, we stayed at the Jungle Cliff Resort, which is a resort in the middle of the jungle. So there's nothing around. You just hear the jungle sounds at the night. That's really nice. And you have a huge pool in the middle of the jungle, but like an infinity pool. So it's really, really amazing and beautiful and special. And it's a little bungalows. So everyone has his own place and his own bungalows with a patio as well. So you can just sit down there and relax. And you feel alone, even though you are not alone, but you really feel alone in the middle of the jungle.
Sounds like a great place. Must be great
Yes.
to, hear all that sound during the night.
Yeah, it's really special to hear that type of sound because normally you sleep in cities or in the city center, so you hear more of cars, scooters, but there you were just hearing monkeys and some insects, jungle insects, sounds that you never hear. And also you can see the sky full of stars because there's no light pollution there. So you just see beautiful stars everywhere in the sky at night.
Wow, it sounds lovely.
Yeah,
And did the places they provide food as well, like breakfast and
yeah.
lunch, dinner, all this, facilities?
Yeah, I really choose my accommodation around if the breakfast is included or not, because I really like to wake up, eat breakfast, and then be ready for the day. To not go out of the hotel hungry and then you have to try to find a spot. So every hotel that I did included breakfast, and they also had a restaurant to lunch there or to eat dinner as well if you wanted. And the food was really, really fresh, freshly cooked every morning, and there was a lot of different choice. You could eat as much rice in the morning if you wanted, or pancakes. So there's a lot of options.
Right. It must be, since you said one of the places you were like isolated in the middle of the jungle, did you still have access to Wi-Fi?
Yes, they do have Wi-Fi, but of course you have to accept the fact that the Wi-Fi is a little bit slow sometimes. It does work, but maybe if you want to do video calls, it's better to go in a cafe where they have a good Wi-Fi to work remotely. because at the hotel it was really basic Wi-Fi, to send pictures to your family, to write
Right.
to them. But for the video call, sometimes it was a little bit hard.
Okay. And what about the rest of the places? Not just the city, the normal city that you went to. Is there good Wi-Fi there?
Yes, typically in Bali, there's a lot of good Wi-Fi because I think that there's a lot of fat people and people that work remotely from Bali. So the Wi-Fi is more developed and they have really good internet speed. Of course, in Nusa Penida, since it's the island, the Wi-Fi is it's a little bit hard to have a good Wi-Fi. But on the main islands like
Right.
Bali and Flores, it was really good. The only thing is that on Komodo Island, when you're going to your cruise, you have to know that there's no Wi-Fi. So you really have to read for 3 days. Maybe there's some boat maybe that have Wi-Fi on board with maybe a Starlink or something like that, but most of the cruise or sailboat
Right.
don't have Wi-Fi.
Okay. So maybe not the place for a working holiday.
No, exactly. Bali is really a good place to work hard, and Flores as well. All the main islands, but all the small islands, it's not the best.
Right. Okay. Since you went such an exotic place, there must be a lot of things to buy. So can you tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about, how the shopping is, like the shopping districts there, what kind of things you can buy?
Yeah, actually, I had to buy another suitcase, a small suitcase to bring all my souvenirs with me. It was really amazing. There's a lot of souvenir, a lot of heart. And the heart market is really dangerous, because I wanted to buy every pants, there are a lot of traditional masks, a lot of jewelry like that. I mean, there's a lot of clothes. Clothes are beautiful. Everything is handmade and it's pretty cheap compared to what I can buy here in Canada, for clothes or jewelry or art in general. So I really took advantage of the shopping scene in Indonesia, and I bought a new suitcase and I bought a lot of things to decorate my house here, from mirrors to cushions to heart walls. I bought a lot of things, yeah, and a lot of coffee as well, a lot of tea, incense. There's too many choice, and no matter what you like, you will find some things that you would like to bring home for sure.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah.
Was there a specific place, where you can, a standout place where you could purchase things from, like maybe a local market or something specific?
Yes, I really recommend Ubud Heart Market, which is located in Ubud Valley. This is really the place to find heart pieces, handmade pieces, and they have good price as well. You can always bargain with them, but they have pretty good price and beautiful heart painting that took maybe 2 or 3 weeks to paint by hand. A lot of beautiful jewelry as well made by hand. So Ubud Heart Market, I think it's the place. And also in Bali, Canggu, I really recommend the Sunday market. So it's a really beautiful place to buy everything, as much from food to, clothes. So there's a lot of different options.
Did you have fun bartering?
I do like to barter because I always cut the price in half. And then after that, we can negotiate. But it's something that I like to do because I mean they always triple the price when you're a tourist. So you have to do that if you want to keep your money and not get scammed. You have to do it.
Right. So I want to come back to Komodo Island,
Yeah.
because I think we didn't talk about the accommodation there. So were you on the cruise throughout your stay there, or you know, did you stay in a hotel or Airbnb or something like that?
Yeah, you're actually living on board. So you're living on the sailboat and you have your own room. For us, since we were two, we had our own room with two beds and a suite bathroom. So, and it was pretty spacious, honestly. we could walk in our room, and then we could also walk in our bathroom. We had a huge shower, a toilet section. Since we had two beds, we could put all of our things on the other bed, and it was really spacious. Also, they do cook for you 3 meals a day. So they have a kitchen there. You just wake up, you go on the roof, and then you can eat your breakfast. And it's a really, really nice place to just live and relax because, you wake up, you go on the deck, and then you take your coffee. And in the night, you walk with you talk with the people, play games, card games, and then everyone goes to sleep in their little rooms. It's a really, really nice accommodation. It was really unique. It was the first time I was living abroad, and I was not disappointed.
Right, that sunsets must be to die for.
The sunsets were, I mean, incredible every night. Yeah.
Right. So, Indonesia, they have their own different language. Was it difficult for you to interact with, the local people, or they could understand English?
They do speak English, and they have a really good level of English because since there are a lot of tourists, they learn English at school really young. So they have a really good level of English. And also the Indonesian local language, which is Bahasa, is really easy to learn some few words. For example, to say thank you, it's terima kasih. And there's a lot of little words like that when you use them, people are really happy because they see that you're interested in their culture. And also on the Bali Island, they have a other language. They do speak Bahasa, English, and Balinese. So you just have to be careful. For example, thank you in Balinese is suksuma, but you cannot use suksuma when you go to Flores because it's only in Bali that you can use that. And you have to learn the difference to not use the right language in the different islands.
Right.
But pretty much, if you speak English, everyone's gonna understand you and you can travel easily with a good level of English.
Right. Great. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we talked a lot about lots of different things. So, on a whole, what did you like the best about this trip?
The thing that I liked the best was meeting people that are just so happy to live the way they live and that are so happy to share their culture. And I really love the Indo culture because people are really calm, pacific. They respect the nature, they respect the animals. They are grateful from everything. They are grateful for their food, for their family, for their friend, for their house. And it really helped me to see another vision of the world. We're in Canada, we're not always thankful for everything we have. It's normal for us to have food in our plate, to have animals. We don't really take maybe care of the animals as much as we should, but there they are always grateful for everything and they celebrate everything. So every month there's a moon party, there's an animal party, there's a party for the food. There are always a lot of celebration each month, and everyone is just so happy. Everyone smile at you. There's a really sense of community where there's no competition between people and between shops, for example. They all help each others, and it was just amazing to see that and to experience a culture where people are just helping each others and grateful for everything they have.
That's lovely. That's a great perspective. Okay, so here's the fun question for you. Like, if you had to plan this same trip back, would you change anything about the trip? Add anything, delete anything?
I would have stayed in Ubud for a few more days because this is the destination that really surprised me the most. And there's a lot of different activities to do. And I think that I would have stayed in Nusa Penida maybe 3 or 4 days instead of one week because it is a really small island. with not a lot of service. So maybe I would have stayed less days there. Or maybe I would have done, a day trip from Bali with a private car and transportation. So it could have been more easier and less stressful to visit the island because
Right.
with a scooter by ourselves, it was a little bit stressful to drive there. It's kind of a dangerous island, because there's a lot of cliffs. The current is really strong. You cannot swim. So 1 week there was maybe too much. I would have stayed 3 or 4 days.
Okay. The next question I have for you is, do you have any safety tips for, anyone visiting the country or the islands anytime soon?
Yeah, first maybe when you're not when you're not in Bali, which is an Hindu island, the rest of the country is Muslim. So you have to respect the Muslim culture and you have to dress properly. You also have to be careful maybe when you're a woman to not walk alone at night. But these are the basic, safety tips that you
Right.
should do in every country in the world. But I will mostly recommend to have cash with you because, for example, in the highlands, it's really hard to find ATMs. And sometimes, when you're out of gas or when you are in a tricky situation, it's always important to have cash with you because, you just give a little, maybe a
Right.
little bit of cash to someone and they're gonna help you out super easily just to thank them. It's always good to have a little bit of cash on you. And I will say it's really important to follow the recommendation of health medical center. Before you go, I went to a travel medical center here that gave me some vaccination for Japanese encephalitis, which is a common disease that you can get in Indonesia. So
Right.
you just get the right vaccination to be safe and have a lot of mosquito cream on you and mosquito weed because there's some risk of dengue. So you have just to be careful with that to be safe. And because the most concerning thing is not about people being dangerous or people being, there's not a lot of crime on people. The most
Right.
dangerous thing is to get sick and get a disease with a mosquito bite or something like that. So just be careful to get every recommendation that a medical center gives you.
Right. So I remember on the first day you got sick. So
Yeah.
did you have to, buy medicine, and was it easy to do that? Did you need a
Yeah,
prescription?
it's very easy to get medical care in the Indonesia, especially in Bali, because there's a lot of monkeys and dogs, and people get a lot of maybe accident with them, and they need the rabies injection. So there's a lot of medical center. Lucky for me, I had antibiotics before I went that the travel medical center gave me, so
Right.
I took them. But if you don't have antibiotics, you can easily call a medical center and they can come to your room and give you IV and medication. Just make sure that you have travel insurance to cover that. But it's really easy to get good health care if something. So don't be scared of that. If you're not, in a really, really far away forest or into the jungle, it will be really easy to access that.
Great. Great. That's good. So did you see any monkeys? I know you heard the voice of the monkeys, but were you able to spot any?
Yeah, we saw a lot of monkeys, especially in Ubud. But something that you have to be careful of is that monkeys are not wild monkeys that you see into the wild really far away. They are intelligent monkeys and they do steal from you. So they know that if they steal from you, they're gonna get food or anything to get something back, they want to trade with you. So it's not a really natural experience with monkey. This is more of a being careful of your belongings experience because they are a bit aggressive and they are used to tourists. So it is not as special as seeing a monkey in the middle of the jungle, for example.
Right. Yeah, I know. I've had a monkey snatch food out of my hand, so it's been an exciting but terrifying experience. So I get what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah, they are really ruthless. And I saw one of the monkey go into the face of a lady, grab her glasses, and they just break them in front of her. So they are really, they are not as nice as they seem.
Right. Did you see any marine animals since I think you spend a lot of time in and around water? So any
Yeah.
fishes or anything you've seen?
I went to two snorkeling spots to see, and I hadn't the chance to see them. But I know that if you're lucky, you can see manta rays in Nusa Penida and in Komodo. I haven't the chance to see them, but I saw a lot of green turtles, huge green turtles, in fact,
Right.
and I saw colorful fishes, but I haven't had the chance to see a lot of marine life because I think that there's a lot of boats and a lot of tourists. So now I think it's a little bit harder to see, reef sharks or manta rays.
That's great. I personally really love, interacting with wildlife. So I think Indonesia would be a great place to see
Yeah.
all kinds of things.
Yeah, they do have a lot of wildlife, marine wildlife as well. I don't dive. Maybe that if I will dive, I will have seen more of that. But for snorkeling perspective, it was really beautiful to see the reefs, the fishes, and the turtles. But you have to be really lucky to see, manta rays, and you have to be in the good season. I think from September to November is the best season to spot them.
Great. Yeah, I'd love to see something like that. So maybe that's when I can plan my trip to Indonesia, which I don't know when
Yeah.
will be happening. Okay, I think we pretty much covered a lot of things. But is there anything that I haven't asked you about and you think our viewers, readers would like to know?
I have five tips and advice for people that wants to go to Indonesia and do specifically the 3 day Komodo cruise because I know that it's a really famous activity to do. So first, I will have to you to book it in advance and then plan your trip around the
Okay.
sailing trip because it could be really expensive if you go last minute. So we booked personally 6 months in advance and then we plan our trips around that. So if you want a good price, book in advance. Also, I really recommend to go from April to June, which is the beginning of the dry season. So it's not too hot, but it's not really. It's a perfect middle between the two seasons. I also recommend you to have a waterproof camera if you go to Indonesia because you will want to see the marine life and to have pictures of that. So I would really recommend to bring a waterproof camera. And if you're doing the Komodo cruise, maybe I would recommend you to have seasickness tablets so you can enjoy the experience to the fullest without being seasick if it's the case for you.
Okay, those are some great tips.
Yeah.
Especially the waterproof camera because it's so specific, but something you probably wouldn't know unless you experience it. So yeah,
Yeah.
really great tip. I think with this we can wind up our interview. It has been lovely seeing Indonesia through your eyes and your perspective. And yeah, it has made me want to go there immediately and just book my flight right now. And I'm sure that's the case with anyone watching this interview as well. So thank you so much for taking the time and giving us a personal trip of all these beautiful islands. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I hope you get to travel more and give us more stories, share more opinions, share more, all these lovely places. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, and I really recommend you to book your flight soon because I think it's not as popular now as it could be in so many years. So get the opportunity to go as soon as you can, and you won't regret it. You will have the best time of your life for sure.